Today I went and did a job, and the guy that called me to do the job, to do a landscape job, he said, "Hey man, I saw your videos. I really like them, and come give me a quote and everything." And so I ended up getting the job, and we ended up talking about God because I had posted a video talking about God. And it was just one of those moments where God reminded me, first of all, that He's always working, and second of all, that if you talk about the things that you're passionate about and you talk about Him and you move with Him, He'll continue to lead you to the places that you should be and to the people that you need to meet. And his name was Mr. Nick, and he was telling me a story about whenever he started his business. I own a landscape business. He was telling me about when he started his business, how God intervened in crazy ways like He does. And it was just a huge reminder, and it was like God was telling me, I want control of every aspect of your life. I want control of your finances, your relationships, every move, every decision you make. And then I thought about that, and one key aspect about Mr. Nick's story was that he took a risk. Whenever God told him to start this business, he didn't have any money. But he felt it, and then he actually got money in unexpected ways to do it. And this is what I've seen countless times talking to people that have succeeded in big ways, is they took some sort of risk. And so I asked myself, what would happen if I truly surrendered to God? What happens if we truly surrender to God? I think He's going to tell us to play it big. I think He's going to tell us to go big, right? God, we're talking about God here, like all things are possible. You think that if you give control of your life to God, that He's going to tell you to play it safe? You think that if you give Him control over your life, that He's going to tell you to just be ordinary? No. When you start living in God's will, you're going to start doing things that can seem senseless. You're going to be taking risk. It's exciting, right? That's what God's about. He wants you to feel alive. He didn't put you on earth to be ordinary. He put you here to be extraordinary. At least that's what He has for you. I'm not perfect, and there's a lot of things I can do better, and that I'm learning. But I do love to take a good risk. I think God's a gambler. I think God's sitting there going, "Hey man, you got it. Do that. Go all in. I dare you. I bet you'll do it. If you put the bet on me, I bet you'll do it." So I did. I laid all my cards down, and you hear those stories all the time. These people who said, "You know what? I'm putting it all on the line. God, I give it to you. Let's go." And then miracles happen, right? So I just want to encourage people to examine your life and your choices and ask yourself, is there some sort of risk that God might be asking you to make? Is there some sort of plan that He's placed on your heart that you've been wanting to take action on, but you're kind of scared, right? The more that I lean into Him and the more that He's blessed me, I've found that I'm finding myself just wanting to talk about it all the time because it's exciting, And you come across these other people that have leaned into these inclinations from the divine, and we all just want to talk about it because it's exciting, Doing what God says is not He's not calling you to do the normal, safe. No. If you lean into God and ask Him what He wants for you, be prepared to have to go big, to have to get uncomfortable. And I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about I'm talking about not settling for less. I'm talking about, what do you want your life to look like? What's that imagination? Let your imagination run wild. What's your heart passionate about? And then why aren't you doing it? Man, the more that I surrender, the more that God has me talking about it. The more magical my life is becoming. I mean, I'm expecting the unexpected at this point every day. You know, I've found that there's this shift from fear to love, and there's something that happens when you lean into God's will that just kind of gets rid of the obstacles. It doesn't get rid of them, but that's all that they are, is just obstacles, right? There's no challenge that you can't overcome. There's no, if you're taking action in the direction that God has you going, and you come upon a block, an obstacle, that's bound to get defeated. You're gonna hop over it. So don't stop there. Keep going. Then you're gonna reach another one, and another one, and another one. I think that walking the path that God has for you is not very safe from the outside, but in here, you know this is the safest route there is. You feel it. You feel that you can feel it when you're doing what God has called you to do, even though it might be risky, it might be different than what most people are doing. There's a sense of aliveness, there's a sense of power, there's a sense of certainty in that journey. For me, the most scary feeling I've ever felt was kind of working a 9-to-5 that I genuinely hated. And even though my family and people are telling me, you know, that this is the most responsible thing to do, God was calling me to open a landscaping business. And I just followed the call. I answered the call and I took action on it, and it worked out. It's not easy, but I feel alive, and I have something to talk about, something to be happy about, something to prove that He is working in my life. Because how do you know if God's working in your life truly unless you're doing something that causes you to have to lean on Him, causes you to have to trust in Him? If you're just always playing it safe in life, you'll never have any real reason to have to trust in God. The way of peace, the most peace that I've found in my life has come from doing things that are uncomfortable, as weird as that is. And the most stressed out I've ever been in my life was whenever I didn't have any challenges. I didn't have anything to push forward. I didn't have any, obstacles to overcome daily. No reason to wake up and give a warrior cry, no reason to serve a higher cause. That made me more stressed out than I've ever been, Felt like I was wasting time. And so I think ultimately we all want these material possessions. We think that once I have enough money, then I'll be happy. Once I have enough followers on Instagram, then I'll be happy. Once I have, the admiration of my peers, then I'll be happy. But if there's something deeper within you that you really want to do, that you really want, and you're not going after that, then no amount of money, no amount of fame or anything can fill that hole. And so only God can fill that, right? You've heard that before, but what does that mean? That means giving him control of every single thing in your life, and you get to walk this path of adventure. You get to walk this true journey of growth that has obstacles and challenges every day. Yeah, it's scary, but it's fun, because when you're walking that path, you know that there's something guiding you. You know that you're safe. And maybe you lose all your money, right? Maybe you follow that path and then you go broke. Maybe you follow that path and it doesn't go as expected. And so some people will deem that as a failure. That could still be part of the path. It's just another obstacle. It's just another part of the journey that's going to give you a lesson that you otherwise would have never learned. God calls us to be extraordinary because he wants you to live a life worth telling, worth talking about. He wants you to take that risk so that the next day when it works out, you can tell people about the one up there who made it happen. It's a fun life. It's you get to witness his magic in real time. You don't get to witness his magic playing it safe. You just don't get to. Right? You might be provided for, and you can, that's God is taking care of you, no doubt. But if you want to truly live a life that is exhilarating and full of fun and prosperity, that means gaining more than just material possessions. God's working on your insides. And so he's gonna lead you to that path that has way more challenges. And he's like, let's do this. He's gonna give you that fire. He's gonna give you that spark. Every day I feel this inner calling to strive for something bigger. I don't even know what it is exactly. And no one really does. You just kind of ride the wave. And this whole kind of talk can sound, woo-woo. It can sound like fairy dust to people that don't get it. But to the people that are walking that path, they do get it. And you find those people along your journey, and that's all y'all talk about. Because it's that exciting. It's that cool. So what would happen if you did give God control of your entire life? Of your finances, of your business, of your relationships, of your health? He's not sitting there going, he's not going to go, all right, thanks for giving me control. Now, keep keep doing what you're doing, he's going to go, thank you for giving me control. Thank you. Now, are you ready? Are you ready? Yeah, I'm ready. All right. I want you to go to the gym tomorrow. I want you to do an extra 5 sets. I want you to call that person that you're scared to talk to. I want you to start that business. I want you to take that trip. I want you to take that leap of faith. That's what God starts saying. When you give him that control, all of a sudden you're going to be met with challenges. You're going to think, whoa, maybe I made the wrong decision. That's the right decision. Because God's not leading you. He's not leading you to a comfortable life. That's just, there's no growth in that. I went and did a job today, and the guy that I talked to, Mr. Nick, was telling me when he started his business, he had no money, and he made a promise to somebody that he was going to get started in a week. He said, I didn't know how I was going to do it. And 2 people in his life said, God told me to give you this money, and gave him the funds that he needed to buy the equipment that he needed to start the business. And that's how God works. God doesn't ask, you're not supposed to ask, how is it going to be done? Just commit to it, and the doors will open as you take a step. As you step, a door will open. And that's the you're literally walking in blind faith. That's the journey. You don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know if you're going to fail. You don't know if everything's going to fall apart tomorrow. So you have to trust in him, and then you succeed, or you fail. And that's the journey.